Good afternoon, Behavioral Neuroscience, Spring 2022. My name is Dr. Olson, and it looks like we are going to have another crazy year. So, buckle your seatbelts and we will get through this together. I have designed this class to be completely flexible for everybody's schedule, which I think benefits everyone immensely, particularly in a pandemic. So, every 2 weeks, you have a module, and you will have this very consistent schedule that repeats over the course of this class. The textbook here is a supplement. It's how I view it. All of your quiz material will be based on what is in the lecture material. The book I see as a supplement that is there to help you. You don't need it necessarily. No questions are going to come from it that aren't covered in the lecture material. But, it is a good resource. It can add to your studying. Can you find similar information on the internet that works the same and is free? Yes, you can. I've been studying this for well over, 15 years. I specifically study a neurotransmitter called dopamine as it's related to motivated behavior and the effects of drugs on the brain. Here are our course goals. In addition to creating some understanding of how the brain works, I will have you critique some leading edge controversial presentations by influential figures in the field to discuss and reflect on. In addition, you will need to prepare a essay-based final exam, which I will tell you more about in a minute. So, things like our discussions in particular rely on us following this sort of set schedule. However, I will amend this missing assignment part a little bit. I am much more flexible these days, particularly during the pandemic. If something happens or you need something to be pushed, a deadline extended, let me know. I am not going to be incredibly strict with this missing assignment policy. Here's how your overall grade will be determined. 40% of your grade is going to come from quizzes. 20% is going to come from, or a little over 20% will come from your discussion posts and the multiple choice questions that I'll describe in a little bit. And then the 36% will come from your essay, which I will also describe here in a minute. So the quizzes will occur every other week of class and must be submitted by Sunday at midnight. Again, all of this information is going to come from lecture material rather than stuff in the textbook. So in addition, we will have these discussions or critical analyses of emerging topics in neuroscience. Every module, you'll be presented some information to review. Before Sunday at midnight of the first week, you must share your thoughts in a discussion thread and submit 3 multiple choice questions that may be used to as well on your biweekly quizzes. I tend to throw in 1 student or 2 student created pieces on the critical analysis material. Everything else will come from the lecture material. These discussions should be conversational and informal, much like a class discussion. And I look forward to hearing yours. So here you can see on the calendars what this would typically, a typical week or 2-week period would looks like. So here on the first week, I want you to review the material that I have posted for you in the modules. Then, in addition, you will need to review the discussion material. I suggest doing that first. What I would do is I would review the critical analysis or discussion material first and make a post on that material by the first Sunday at midnight. I would also, you need to post your multiple choice questions there. Here, the idea is I want you to make 2 multiple choice questions on the critical analysis content. It has been shown time and time again that you are better off, you're going to remember the material better if you make a question about it than answer a question about it. So that's what we're going for here. Then I would switch or pivot toward the actual lecture material rather than the discussion material, study that during the second week of the module, and then take the quiz on the second Sunday by midnight, and then repeat. We see a little bit of a fluctuation around the final and fall spring break, but that is really the only thing, and obviously we had to adapt a little around those dates. Then you will have an essay-based final exam. So here, in the announcements already, there is a list of essay questions. Of these, you have to pick 1 from each module of the 8 modules. So you'll have 8 final essays that you submit. However, 4 of these do not need to involve any research. So you would answer these just like you do in a regular in-class exam. So basically, I want 350 to 500 words covering the lecture material alone on 4 of those. And that's all you have to do for 4. However, I also want you to look at these and find 4 that you're most interested in expanding. So these, you need to go beyond what I gave you in lecture material. You are going to do this by conducting your own research on these topics. Your essay can contradict my lecture material. Your essay can add to it. Your essay can take it in a completely different direction. For example, the corticospinal tract. I mean, it might seem like one of the boring options, but what could that tell you? How could you use that information in, diagnosing paralysis of a limb, like the leg versus the arm? And I mean, what information could that tell you about where the injury occurred based on your knowledge of the corticospinal tract? Just one of many examples there. So at the midterm, I will have you submit 1 of your research essay questions to be graded and receive feedback, so you know that we're on the same page. Then at the end of the term, you will submit the remaining 7 essays, 3 of which have to be researched like your midterm, and again, 4 of which do not. 1 essay from each module, each one under 500 words. I want it to be concise. Going over 500 words will only hurt your grade. And I do need you to cite your resources. You can either do this in APA or Vancouver format, which I've illustrated down here. I do not need a title page though, and I'm not going to be looking for critiquing, specific formatting about APA format. All I want is clear references with an in-text citation and a reference list that looks like that. So here you can see our continued class format here. Again, very consistent, discussion posts due really the first Sunday after the beginning of the module, and then your quizzes due. Here are some of the emerging topics or discussion pieces we'll consider. First, the neuroscience of mindfulness. I like to include this, especially for the clinical psychologists out there. Again, I try to make this class for everybody, a wide spectrum. Then our brains are wired to be deceived, and then this idea that we have an optimism bias. Then let's discuss restorative justice. What does neuroscience suggest might be the potential for that? What makes us human from a neuroethological perspective? You can hear Robert Sapolsky from Stanford argue that really that there are only a few minor differences that are really just big manifestations of behavior rather than differences between us and monkeys and rats. Ants go to war, but we go to war. I guess it would be like the difference, like our wars are a little crazier. All animals have sex. Our sex can be a little crazier, like that. That's really, is going to be his take home. Then we'll watch a neuroscience panel that discusses music, the brain, and behavior, a couple modules on consciousness, and then neuroscientific insights into gender identity. That's a excellent topic, definitely worth discussing here. I want to be clear that this panel is made up of an array of people, including a famous transgender neuroscientist who recently passed away. And I think the idea there is they will give you some of the emerging trends in neuroscience. It might suggest that gender is a distinct thing than biological sex. Then we will discuss a little bit about hallucinations, and you'll hear two very distinct opinions and perspectives about what those can tell us about reality. And, that's just one question, a big question, like what is reality? That's really maybe something that some of the cognitive people in the department can tell you about more than me, but I still like to think about it. And I think it's a big question. What is reality? I mean, I guess we will argue a little bit that is, all from your mind. So, I mean, like, the same light to two people might be different. And I think that's important to recognize that we can see things differently and our realities are different based on our backgrounds and, how we've learned in the past. So particularly on these, I would like you to follow these community norms about discussions in this class. All opinions, perspectives, and views are welcome in this class. I would love to hear, contrasting opinions on some of these topics. And again, we have different perspectives on reality. This is how our brain is created. So I would like to, take advantage of that rather than suppress it. And I would love you guys to talk in a civil manner, about some of these controversial subjects, knowing that the other person doesn't have to agree with you, and that's okay. Leaning into difficult conversations and a willingness to consider diverse perspectives is very important to develop the skill set necessary to thrive in an open, competitive, and multicultural society. But during this, I would like you to critique ideas, not people, nor should you make judgments about somebody else's identity based off of the things that they might say. In college, I think it's good to try on different ideas. And maybe the person that you're talking to is even trying on an idea that they don't completely feel strongly about, and that is okay. Maybe it should be trying on clothes, like trying on new things in college should be encouraged. Make the most respectful interpretation, though, of that other person's perspective. And again, certainly don't make assumptions about them or attack them. You respond, using well-rationed arguments and thoughts. And in general, you're going to have to accept a lack of closure on these things. At times, you're not going to convince everybody of your view. You can say, but you should certainly make it known, your view, or at least a view that you want to test out. And then I included some additional information here regarding the history of neuroscience and neuroscientists. That is optional reading if you're interested. So that is the class. Please post comments and questions to the virtual office. The TA and I respond in there pretty quickly, and I think you all would benefit from hearing each other's questions and concerns about the class. Again, please post those there. And I hope you have a great semester. I look forward to helping you through.